Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This Thanksgiving, think outside the oven and get Thanks Grilling with Ace. Get a new grill and choose from top brands like Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg to add even more flavor to your Thanksgiving turkey, side dishes, and desserts. Plus, right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace and get Thanks Grilling. Ace Rewards members only through December 24th. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1,800, and guess what? 66! I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Took yesterday off. This will be one more long show before we go into the normal schedule. And this is an interview that I did for Job Search Radio about making a transition to a career you love. An interview that I did with Marcy Travis on this subject. Hope you find it helpful. We'll be back with good stuff, just like I've been covering for the last week. We'll be back tomorrow with our normal schedule and normal types of shows. No more than one long-form interview per week. And with that, let me just simply say, let's get going. My guest is Marcy Travis, who's a certified career coach and resume writer with 21 years experience. She's a baby by comparison to me, but that's a different conversation. Helping people figure out what they love to do and then finding that particular position. Marcy believes that you can find the work you love if you dream big, plan well, work hard, and don't give up. Marcy, thanks for making time today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I'm so excited about being on your show, and I thank you for making time for me. I really I'm jazzed up about being here today. So.
Yeah, let's get jazzed up.
Yeah, jazz. So I think we're going to provide some good value for your viewers, and that's what it's about.
You betcha. So let me start by asking, why now? Why is it a good time now to make a transition?
Oh my gosh, Jeff. Right now is the best time to make a transition, and here's why. Imagine you're a little kid and you're 5 years old, and you walk into a candy store and there's every type of candy that you might like. That's what it's like to be a job searcher right now. Companies cannot find enough people to fill the jobs that they have, enough good people. So this is the time, if you want to change careers, if you want to change companies, whatever you want to do, now's the time to do it. Don't wait.
Fabulous. So dreaming big, that got my attention when I saw that. Why dream big? Why not just do what's safe and comfortable, what's practical and pragmatic?
Well, you can, and many people do. A lot of my work that I did in my 21 years worked with people that did the same thing over and over. But you know what happens? You start to die inside. You just start to die inside. If you don't have a big dream and a purpose that resonates with you, you start to die inside. You need a reason to get up in the morning. You need a reason to look forward to your day. So dreaming big is one way to kind of get out. We all have this little box that we see ourselves in, and really the world is huge. There's many opportunities. So we need to kind of let ourselves dream and take a chance. And that doesn't mean that we're just quitting our jobs and just, depending on, whatever.
We're not on a trapeze without a net underneath us, is what you're saying.
That's right. It's important that we have a plan, but the dreaming is the first part of that plan.
And for me, I know when I started to make the transition from headhunting to coaching, it really required that I take a little bit of time to slow down and to notice what I was thinking and feeling at those times in order to notice, because I've been doing headhunting for a long time. And as such, you get into operations mode. You're in the doer. You're handling your job, and in my case, extremely well, but it wasn't satisfying. And I had to take a little bit of time to notice that.
Right. And sometimes it's only a matter of scheduling it on your calendar, 1 hour a day, sometime for you. A lot of us put ourselves last. We put everything else. We put our work, our family, everything else in front of us. And what we need to do is step back, as you said, and start to listen to how we're feeling, listen to what we're observing. What do we like? What don't we like? Start keeping track of that. So that's a super way to start.
And then from there, once you've noticed all these wild ideas, because that's what I know that's what it felt like to me, were wild ideas going on. What do you do after that with all those crazy ideas? Because that was, again, how I was starting to, no, this is crazy. I can't do that.
Right.
Well, how do you take it from there?
Well, I think, Jeff, if I was coaching you one-on-one, we would start to talk about what you want. So we have these big ideas, and we start to talk about what part of that big idea, that big dream, what's most important to you? And is there something from that big dream you can start incorporating right now into your daily life? I would start to talk to you about that.
Really?
I'll give you an example
Please.
With me. Okay. So my example is, my dream is to live by the ocean, and sit and write. So what about that dream? What is it that makes that dream special? Well, the ocean for me is very peaceful. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm usually on vacation when I'm there, so I have not such a schedule to keep. It's kind of, I get up and I can write and it's free flowing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I told you two things. So I don't live by the ocean. Okay. But I do live in a quiet place where I can go. I have a quiet place where I can go and I can write and I can get up and I can schedule my free time. Now that sounds funny, but I can put in my schedule time where I'm not committed to anything and nothing interrupts that. And I can start to incorporate that into my weekly schedule.
And what it sounds like, if I could paraphrase here, it sounds like initially what you're doing is first you create the dreams, yes, and then you start experimenting a little bit with bringing some of the things that you can do without making radical change in your life into your day-to-day.
Yes.
Oh, good. I've quantified that well.
Well, because we all want to jump, right? Because we want to jump because maybe we don't like where we're in and we've been in there too long. We've been fed up with it. And so we just want to jump and we want somebody to tell us exactly the thing we should jump to. But it's really a process.
I left that with teachers and parents. They were very willing to tell me what I should be doing.
Exactly. And we're brought up that way. Somebody should tell us. But it's really a process. And a lot of times, as you know, when you're working with a coach or working in a project, it takes weeks, it takes days, it takes time to process, to think, to do that internal work that's so necessary. What do I want in terms of lifestyle? What do I want in terms of a company? Or do I want to be my own company? And how can I start working on that little by little?
And folks, I'll tell you, there's no timeline. The only timeline is your own. And Marcy used the example of weeks or months. In my case, it took a couple of years to make the transition because in exploring, I had a couple of different choices of avenues that I was well trained for, decided to pursue a third one that I thought would be a little bit easier at this stage in my life and career in order to make this transition. And you can do your version of this. You can take the most radical one. You can take the most gentle one. There's no rules except the ones that you create. This is not like going to work at your job and doing what your boss and management tell you. You are the chairman of the board of your own organization. It's really that simple. And you make the rules now.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. And, when you're in transition, that's a really important thing because you always have things pulling at you. You always have different responsibilities no matter where you are and what you're doing. There's always responsibilities and things pulling for your attention. So yes, you are the CEO of your own life.
Amen. And I have the idea that again, using myself as an example, the way I did the transition was using a skill that I had and applying it in a different way. So it's like an approximate skill. So headhunting, I know how to help people find work. Coaching, I can help people find work. It's a question of how I'm compensated.
Yes.
That's always the easiest way. Tell us a story about someone you've helped who made a far more dramatic change.
Well, I actually have a friend that she worked for a corporation for a number of years, and she worked as a purchasing agent. And what she did then is decide, well, I'm going to go back and get my master's in organizational psychology because I'm tired of purchasing. It's boring. I've done it for too long, right? So she went and got her master's, and then she worked for a different corporation. She liked the job okay. She didn't like the politics. And so she started to think about, what do I enjoy doing? And her number one thing that she enjoyed doing, and there happened to be a need and a market for it, was doggy daycare.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she loved, so she quit her job and she opened up a doggy daycare. She has a beautiful home in California. And in California at the time, she was popular to have the doggy daycare. And so she would keep them for extended periods. But she loves dogs. So it was just a natural thing. She didn't have to pump herself up to sell it. She didn't have to sell it. People just love to bring their dogs to her because the dogs love coming. And she treated those dogs just like her own. So she developed a whole business around that. And then her husband, who is a VP of a winery out there, quit his job, retired, and helped her with it, and they just expanded it. And so terribly, terribly happy. Happy.
I think wonderfully, not terribly happy.
Happy endings.
There we go. So I spoke about my own example of using the approximate, and then you spoke about someone who made a more dramatic change. And it sounds like one of the things that people can do is identify the skills and experiences that the skills that they really like to use and the experiences that they really enjoy.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. I think it's really important to make a list of all your skills, then go back down and say, I'm going to cross everything off that I hate to do. Because we can be good at something and not enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, don't go with it. So there's so many ways that you can use your skills out there so you can cherry pick what you want to use. And now is a better time than ever. But yeah, it's very important to identify your skills. And a lot of people have problems doing that because none of us, the things that we really enjoy and that we're natural at, we don't think anything of it. We just think that's just part of our personality and who we are. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it takes somebody else, talking with somebody else, to kind of pull it out of you. That's what I've experienced anyway. And so, yeah, it's very important to know what your skills are. Not only does it help you with the direction you're going to take, but it helps you when you're applying to employers and going into interviews, because you can kind of help them direct the interview, and you can match yourself up with the right companies.
So it seems so far we've been talking about the dreaming big part.
Yeah.
How does the planning well follow next?
Well, a lot of times it's hard to bring it down from I'll use myself as an example. I love helping people. Now, how many different ways can you help people in the world? I mean, I worked in a corporation and I helped corporate. I helped sales. I worked in other jobs and in my employment jobs and help people finding work. But you have to narrow it down at some point. And usually what I suggest is people narrow it down to 3 things and then start to research them. But so you start out on Mars and you come down to Earth. So we start dreaming, then we start looking at our skills. What kind of lifestyle do we want to live? And then finally we pick 3 and just start there. Because if you don't, you're going to be all over the place. And what I usually see happening, and I've done it myself, usually see happening is people get on job boards when they're looking for a new job. They're not sure what they want to do, and they start to search. And they start to search, and they come up with 1,000 jobs. And they're just totally overwhelmed, and they read job description after job description, and they go, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. And pretty soon you're like, there isn't anything out there that's me. And so what I suggest is doing that internal work, the dreaming, and the planning comes in, and planning comes into really setting some structure to what you're looking for.
So when I think of planning, again, using myself as the example,
Yep.
I decided to do coach training and to start experimenting with coaching people while at the same time being a headhunter. Now, I was doing more generic life coaching as part of that. And I figured that was the easier way to practice by doing something completely different. So I practiced by doing life coaching with people, work with a number of friends, start to solicit clients, start to work with 15, 20 people with a clip on 30-minute sessions, and got a sense of what it would like to be a coach day in and day out. And that became part of my planning to test it out some more, plus getting the training, but ultimately I had to take a leap.
Absolutely. And it also gives you, when you do that and you try things, it gives you confidence. You're either, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. And if it's not, you can try something else. That's a very good point, Jeffrey. And there's lots of ways too. If there's a lot of, now we're so fortunate because there's a lot of work from home stuff. So you can even do stuff on your own time, keep your current job, and work around the hours and do stuff from home. It's a great way to try things out.
I found that experimenting is the smart way to do things, and not to be concerned with the outcomes. The idea is just try, and to do it with the minimum amount of risk involved with it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree.
So where do we go from here? What's next in the process for someone doing the transition?
Well, we talked about lifestyle, we talked about skills, and we talked kind of about brainstorming career ideas. I think that one of the things, along with the planning and trying things, is to talk to people that are doing what you want to do, and really get a sense for what you might enjoy, what they like and what they don't like about it, because you can read a job description and then it's totally different when you do that job. And that's probably the way it is with most things. So I think it's really good to talk to people.
And folks, if you've ever changed jobs in your current role, what Marcy says is profoundly obvious, right? That job description that you applied for that sounded like the most wonderful thing in the world. Then you go in there and suddenly it's, it's quite radically, everyone's on good behavior on the interview, right? Yeah. You're on good behavior, they're on good behavior, and then you start and all the swords and daggers are out at that point, and you discover, lo and behold, it's not quite what they made it out to be.
Yeah, and I really, some people think this is odd, but I really think that it's important to do a little sleuthing. So just pretend
sleuthing?
Pretend you're a sleuth and go and talk to people that work at that company, and a lot of people are willing to talk to you. They might not put in an email, but they might get together with you for coffee. I've been a fan of asking the interviewer what they like about the company. Sometimes people will be honest. Sometimes they'll give you, a canned response. But the other way is just to go on sites like Glassdoor and read the reviews. If you're reading one bad review about a company, maybe not. If you're reading 100 bad reviews about a company, and there's probably some truth to it. And you can also get an idea for company culture, and that's really important when you're trying to match yourself up with a job.
Yeah, and I think even before then, is in the transition phase, you kind of look at talking to people as like an informational interview. So
Yes.
you talk to coaches in my case. You talk to professional resume writers in Marcy's case, or coaches
Yes.
in her case. You talk to people who are in the role so that you can match up your idea, or dare I say fantasy, about what it's like to be in this kind of work with the reality of what it is. For some people, the isolation of working from home can be problematic. The idea of working by the beach writing poetry sounds wonderful until you realize, my God, it's not just on the vacation, it's 365 days a year.
Yes, and I'm a social person, so yeah.
Right. So you start to hear conflicting stuff, and it shouldn't freeze you. It shouldn't paralyze you. It's more information. And just because one person says it doesn't mean, like using the Glassdoor example, doesn't mean it's true for everyone, or that it may be true for you.
Right.
So, just use it as data that you compile. When you start getting 6 or 8 people saying one thing and one person saying something different, you get a trend. But then again, if that one person is more like you than the 6 or 8, you have time to sort it out.
Yeah. And I think too, it's, I forgot what I was going to say, but I think it's really important to really know yourself. And just because a job or a company isn't a complete fit doesn't mean you should discard it as a possibility. Because, for instance, I had a job where I've always been, up to this point, let's put it up to this point, I've always been working a lot of hours. That's just me. I want to be busy. I want to be doing things, which doesn't really match up, as you said, with sitting by the beach writing poetry. So, so I need a mix of things. And I was in a job where there really wasn't a way to learn and grow and do those things. So I started looking at, as you did, on the side while I was working, what could I do? And career coaching matched up very well. It was very close to what I was already doing. But so I made that work. I got the benefits that I wanted from that. Plus I started on a new career path. So so don't just because everything doesn't match up, you don't throw it out. Everything's never going to match up. I had somebody that I've been coaching, and he really wants to be a teacher. But the salary and some of the other things associated with teaching right now aren't really what he wants. But he loves teaching. That's what energizes him. It gets him going. He looks forward to it. He over-prepares for it. He's just on fire about it. So I said, okay, you have summers off when you're a teacher. So if you need to supplement your salary, go do something you enjoy. Because one of the things he was thinking about was being a coach, like a sports coach or an exercise coach. And I said, you can easily do that in the summers. You could do camps. There's lots of ways you could do that, or do it on the side. So you don't want to let just one thing like salary hold you back, because you can always supplement it a different way. A lot of teachers they work waitressing, or they do other jobs. Around where I live, we have a lot of little wineries, so they go pour wine in the summer. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to paint this as, it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows and lollipops. There are days of frustration that you're going to experience in doing the transition. So how does someone really deal with that, Marcy?
Well, I totally agree. I've experienced it. You've experienced it. And my coaching clients have experienced it. Sometimes you get started in this process and all of a sudden it feels like you're worse off, like it's a muddy mess. Like now I've got all this information. I don't know what to do with that. And some of it is just continuing to allow yourself to go through the process and be uncomfortable. So it's going to be uncomfortable for some period of time. And some of what works is just telling yourself, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to allow myself to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to get the support I need around me so I can continue. Because no matter what you do, you're going to come up with barriers. So I have a couple handouts that we can link to at the end of this, but one is like their daily affirmations. And I know they've kind of gotten They've gotten a bad name. So it's not like just because I say it, it's going to happen. But what it is just because I say it, it's going to encourage me to continue. And that's what it is. So I have a downloadable about, just to we need to get up in the morning and get our mindset straight, like our mindset in a positive way. Because what we tell ourselves, we would never tell somebody else. Right? Right?
We are so cruel to ourselves.
We are. So you almost have to, instead of allowing that to happen, you have to do the work to kind of pump yourself up. So.
And to use your introduction, folks, you need to remind yourself to not give up. Because giving up puts you in the position of being back where you started off. Like, I'm going to use something from the time that we're recording this, and that is those kids in Thailand who were in the cave for X number of days. And now they've got to swim out, and some of them don't swim. And they're going to be underwater for a prolonged period of time with oxygen tanks on. And it's really easy to get scared. Folks, we're looking at being reborn here in many respects. And in being reborn, you got to go through that birth canal and get to the other side. And as a baby, you did it. As an adult, we like comfort. We don't like to be scared. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We like to be in a situation where it's all easy. I used the example of sunshine and lollipops before, right?
Right.
It's not sunshine, lollipops, and roses. It's going to involve some work,
right,
and some effort and resilience to get through.
Yes, and pushing through. Like, a lot of times when we're scared to do something, if we make ourselves do it, we prepare for it and we make ourselves do it, we end up being really good at it and enjoying it. But it's just because it's something new, we're so scared. And so here's the sunshine and lollipops.
All right.
Sunshine and lollipops. So this is a process, but it's a process just like riding a bike or anything else, that as you learn it, you get better at it. So career, everybody thinks, okay, I'm going to pick a career and I'm going to stay in it for the next, 30 years. Well, it just doesn't work that way anymore. We have more opportunities. And so you're going to learn this process of how to take yourself through this process. And on the way, you're going to assess. You're going to continually assess what you like, what you want. It's going to change depending on what age you are. I don't want the same things that I wanted when I was 20. So, and it's going to be the same for everyone. So we're going to pivot along the way. And the great thing about learning this process is you know how to pivot.
You betcha. And folks, I'm just going to do a recap. The idea is to give yourself permission to think and feel the things that have been below the surface for a while, that you've been burying down there because you have to do the job today. And then you're going to start exploring, and in the exploration, begin a planning process. In case you haven't noticed, I'm in the process of going through Marcy's introduction. You're going to do some planning and testing. You're going to experiment, knowing that some experiments are going to work and some are not going to work. You're going to try real hard and work past all the objections that your mind will throw into the situation to get in the way. Oh, no, you can't do this. No, it is impossible. Impossible. You can never quit your job. Because you're scared and your fear is going to come up. But most importantly, it's the notion of persevering to get to the other side. Was that a good recap?
That was a great recap. You're so good at this.
That's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few more ways to get information and advice from me. First of all, visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. Go to the blog. There's a lot there to help you with your job search, hiring more effectively, managing and leading in workplace-related issues. In addition, if you're interested in my coaching you, there's a button there that says schedule. Schedule time for a free discovery call or schedule yourself in for coaching. Obviously, I'm going to charge for that, but I can help you with interview preparation, leadership coaching, salary negotiation advice, making a good decision between different offers, anything related to improving yourself in the workplace, I can coach you about. If you have questions for me, you can schedule 15 minutes with me at thebiggamehunter.us/live, or a less expensive way is at thebiggamehunter.us/video answers, where you leave a message for me and I'll respond with a 3 to 5 minute video. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/thebiggamehunter. I can assure you your network will expand a lot by connecting with me. And finally, watch me on TV. Download the JobSearch TV app for Fire TV, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Roku, like 90 different manufacturers. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, I hope you have a terrific day. Be great!
Total Wine & More is a wonderland to explore. Thousands of wines and spirits, unexpected pairings, and great gifts. Low prices and helpful guides make the holidays magical at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This Thanksgiving, think outside the oven and get thanks grilling with Ace. Get a new grill and choose from top brands like Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg to add even more flavor to your Thanksgiving turkey, side dishes, and desserts. Plus, right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace and get thanks grilling. Ace Rewards members only through December 24th. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.